Cold dawn resting on the dash, windshield pale with a silver stain. Road runs out in a ribbon of ash, threading through the sleeping plain. Fence lines drift in a broken rhyme, telegraph poles hum low and level. Morning opens its careful spine, with pockets full of quiet gravel. Footprints press in a sandy curve, juniper shadows stretch and sway. Breath moves slow with a softened nerve, carrying night from the edge of day. Canvas lifts with a tender pull, stakes hold firm in the patient soil. Coffee dark in a battered tin, steam unwinds from a day of toil. Hurry stitched in the cotton sky, no siren cutting the brittle air, just the land where the hours lie, and the weight of a world laid bare. Let the wide land thin me out, let it wear down the needless noise. Every doubt becomes a quieter doubt in the hush these hills employ. Dust and distance in equal measure, sky so open it starts to unravel. I leave with less than I can treasure, and pockets full of quiet gravel. Forage fade a muted blue, like a thought I don't have to hold. Day goes on without asking who will carry its hush back home. Let the wide land thin me out, let it wear down the needless noise. I leave with less than I can treasure, and pockets full of quiet gravel.
Last light caught in the barbed wire seams, amber pooling on harvested roads. Highway hum fading into the reeds, where the slow dark river goes. Tailgate down in a field of dust, thermos tipped to a tin cup's rim. Evening settles in quiet trust, as the edges of day grow dim. Trailhead sign with its paint worn thin, arrows pointing to names half lost, boot heels pressed where the ferns begin, cool and damp with a silver frost. Branches bend in a careful sway, needles sift through a slanted beam, footsteps fall in a softer way by the side of a narrowing stream. No witness carved in the granite face, no ledger kept by the turning leaves, just the hush of a borrowed place and the give that the earth receives. Let the ridgeline carry my doubt, let it thin in the cedars hush. Out here nothing is figured out, it just settles like evening dust. Every mile leaves less to prove, every thought slows down to rust. Stones remember the weight of us long after we've lost our move. Embers breathe in a shallow glow, owls call thin from the timberline. Night leans in at a patient flow, like a hand on the spine of time. Let the red line carry my doubt, let it thin in the cedars hush. Stones remember the weight of us long after we've turned to dust.
Blue hour resting on the valley floor, shadows stretching thin and tall. Wind moves slow through an open door of cedar, stone, and canyon wall. Back road curling without a sign, dust laid soft where the tires have been. Sky goes faint like a fading line on the edge of a weathered skin. Camp chairs sunk in the brittle grass, rivers speaking in lower tones. Kindling snaps as the minutes pass, fire finds its careful bones. Tin cup warming in steady hands, steam lifts pale in the cooling sprawl. Horizon loosens its quiet bands as the first cold stars recall. No headlines carved in the ridge tonight, no ceiling holding the darkened place, just the hush of a borrowed light on an unmeasured open space. Let the long way the light fall stay, let Somewhere far a freight train cries, thin as wire in a silver thread. World rolls on under endless skies, with no need for what I said. Let the long way the light fall stay. Let it spill through the cracks in me. I am less than I've ever known, under distances drifting free.
Cloud bank breaking on granite spines, morning spilled in a faded gold, roadside thistles in crooked lines, draw the ditch where the frost once rolled. Tailgate down on a patch of shale, coffee dark in a dented tin. Wind moves slow through a narrow veil, like a hymn with no words within.
Footpath stitched through the cedar stand, needles soft under wandering feet. Sap runs bright on a weathered hand, sweet and sharp in the rising heat. River bends with a muted shine, rounding stone in a patient sweep. Sunlight drifts through a leaning pine, where the shadows fall long and deep. No ceiling drawn in the amber air, no lock on the ridge's frame, just the weight of a world laid bare, with no one to stake a claim. Let the tall hills level my voice, let the wide wind loosen my chest. Out here silence makes its choice, and the restless finally rest. Every mile grows light and slow, every worry turns thin and dim. I lay them down where the cold streams go, and watch the daylight thin at the rim.
Embers bloom in a shallow ring, sparks lift off in a brief ascent.
Night unfolds on a careful wing, over timber and firmament. Let the tall hills level my voice, let the wide wind loosen my chest. I lay them down where the cold streams go, and the restless finally rest. pulling on the hood of the car, engine ticking itself to sleep, gravel shining like scattered stars in the hush where the valleys dip, thermostane in the cooling air, wind through sage in a low refrain, sky goes lavender wide and bare, losing hold of the day's last flame. Boot heels thud on a timber bridge, water slipping in silver threads, fir trees leaned from the shadowed ridge, tracing lines where the daylight gled. Tent poles hum with the steady bend, canvas breeze, wind and night draws in, small sparks rise and descend again, as if testing the dark for wind. No headlines carved in the canyon wall, no voices chasing a hurried sound, just a slow unlearning of it all, with both feet on patient ground. Let the silence settle deep in my chest, like a stone at the river's bend. Out here, nothing demands my best, nothing needs me to pretend. Every mile leaves a softer mark, every shadow grows kind and vast. There's a map folded into dusk that forgets what I thought would last. Trade notes in the cottonwood, distant and thin as a silver wire. World keeps turning the way it should, by the pulse of a modest fire. Let the silence settle deep in my chest, like a stone at the river's bend. There's a map folded into dusk that forgets what I thought would last.
Dawn spills thin on a quarry lake, mist lay low like a folded sheet. Old road bridge gives a careful shake under slow, unhurried feet. Truck bed rattles with tin and twine, coffee breath in the cooling air, roadside grasses in silver line, bend as if in a wordless prayer. Trail cuts in through a stand of spruce, sap and shadow on weathered bark, loose stone slide where the ridge lines lie, breathing low, breathing proud. Let the distance thin my voice, let it fall to a steadier note. Out here silence makes its choice, and it keeps what I never wrote. Every mile leaves less to prove, every doubt grows small and soft. Compass needle finds its groove, trembling steady, trembling soft. Embers bloom in a shallow ring, cricket stitch at the edge of sound. Night unfolds on a patient wing over miles of unclaimed ground. Let the distance thin my voice, let it fall to a steadier note. Compass needle finds its groove, trembling steady, trembling soft.
Wind through birch in a paper hush, morning pale on a weathered gate. Back road bends where the tall weeds brush against the rim of a rusted plate. On the truck that I left to cool, engine ticking its quiet code. Feels like white in a silver pool of breath that rises off the road. Footpath stitched through a stand of fire, needles soft under steady boots. Light sifts down in a muted blur, catching dust in the cedar roots. Creek runs low with a patient hand, rounding stones in a borrowed tone. Skylines close to the open land, like a roof that was never on. No signal hum in the bending grass, no clock but the drift of shade, just the slow untying as hours pass. In the shelter the silence made, let the hillside carry the weight, let it thin what I thought was mine. Out here time doesn't calculate, it just follows a quieter line. Every step finds a steadier ground, every breath leaves a softer trace. I grow small in the open sound of a wide, unmeasured place. simple chord. Night moves in at a tempered flow, without a fence or a spoken word. Let the hillside carry the weight. Let it thin what I thought was mine. I grow small in the open sound of a wide, unmeasured line.
Late sunbend in the western wheat, gold lay thin on a rolling plain. Fence wire hums in a softened heat, holding echoes of passing rain. Backseat rattles with maps and rope, thermos rings in a paper sack. Dust climbs slow in a drifting slope, and settles low where the tire tracks slack. The trailhead quiet as a held breath, pine bark rough to a wandering hand. Soles press in a cooling earth, learning the grain of the patient land. Lantern swings from a cedar limb, firewood stacked in a crooked line. First spark catches the coming dim, flares up small but it holds its shine. No porch light waiting beyond the ridge, on the evening air, just a sky without a hinge, and the weight of a world laid bare. Let the tall grass lean and sway, let the lantern breathe its smoke. Out here night has a gentler way of carrying what I never spoke. Every mile loosens its claim, every worry thins and slows. I set them down in the quiet flame, where only the steady wind goes. Coyote cry on a distant seam, thin and clear as a silver thread. Stars drift wide in a patient scheme over all that was left unsaid. Let the tall grass lean and sway, let the lantern breathe its smoke. I set them down in the quiet flame, where only the steady wind goes.
Dust lifts off from the shoulder of the road, evening leaning on a thinning sky. Fence post hung where the tall grass bowed, swallows stitching the blue up high. Boots soles press into cooling clay. Breath turns silver in open air. Daylight loosens and slips away, leaving gold in the cedar flare. Walls in a quiet bend, river folding around the stones, tin cup warming in careful hands. Firelight flickers in amber tones. Smoke draws circles that rise and fade. Sparks drift off like a scattered choir. Pine cones crack in the coals we made. Night comes close to the rim of the fire. No hurry stitched into the dark. No clock but the embers glow. Just the slow untying of the heart, where the deeper currents go. Let the wind write lines on the lake. Let the hills hold what they know. Every step leaves less to take and more of myself to let go. Under white and unmeasured blue, where the quiet runs thin and long, there's a truth that the trees pass through between the lines of the wind's low song. The train hums through the plain, small as a thought I can't quite keep. World keeps turning without my name, slow and certain and deep. Let the wind write lines on the lake. Let the hills hold what they know. There's a truth that the trees pass through between the lines of the wind's low song.
Ash gray morning along the pass, clouds hung low on a shoulder of stone. Tall pines sway in a breath of grass, making a sound like a bowed out moan. Loose change rattles in the dash tray. Compass trembles but holds its stare. Highway thins to a single lane and disappears into thinner air. Switchback trail in a steady climb, boot soles dark with the scent of loam. Light slips down through a seam of pine, falling soft on the scattered foam of a creek that runs runs out of sight, silver veined in the shadow bend. Day unbuttons its collar of light as the blue of the hills descend. No address in the bending trees, no demand in the amber flare, just two wide unbordered ease, settling slow in the open air. Let the fire take what I bring, lay it down in a careful pyre. Every thought grows feather thin in the hush of the breathing fire, under distances deep and bare, where the last light slowly tapers. Smoke writes its name in the air like a line on unwritten paper. Night unfolds like a weather chart, star by star in a patient choir. World keeps time with a quieter heart than the tick of a town-bound wire. Let the fire take what I bring. Every thought grows feather thin. Smoke writes its name in the air, and the dark lets the silence in.
Morning gathers in the crooked pine sap on my hands, cold air in my lungs. Gravel remembers the weight of tires, fading like a half-forgotten song. Backpack leaning on a splintered rail map, with the corners turned in worn. Sun climbing over the silent shale, breathing a light that feels newborn. Further on where the trail goes thin, roots like veins in the open ground. Wind moves slow through the cedar skin, carrying nothing but a hollow sound. Dust in the cuffs of a worn out coat, kettle steaming on a pocket stove. Smoke draws lines in the air and floats, soft as a thought I never spoke. And the hours fall easy in the open air, no one calling my name out loud. Just the hush of a world laid bare, and the earth breathing slow and proud. Let the fire talk in its quiet tone. Let the dark come down in waves. There's a wide horizon I'm walking on, no walls here, no need to be brave. Every step finds its steady rhyme in the gravel, in the grain. I am small in the hands of time, and I don't need to explain. every step finds its steady rhyme in the gravel, in the grain. I am small in the hairs of time, and I don't need to explain. And I don't need to
Low light spilling through, trembling leaves, morning resting on rusted wire. Feels like opening, quiet heaves, breathing out what the dark required. Bootlace dragging in silver dew, crows live slow from a weathered frame. Dirt road bending from view to view, like it's shedding its given name. Canvas humming in late day heat, creek stones cooling beneath the shade. Kettle tapping a steady beat on the edge of the fire I made. Smoke unwinds in a fragile thread, ash falls soft on the folded plain. Long horizons lie out ahead, wide and honest and uncontained. No signposts carved in the amber dusk, no fences holding the sky in place. Just the weight of a simple trust in the shape of an open space. Let the miles fall off my frame, let the dust settle in my veins. Out here nothing stays the same but the pull of the distant plains. Every step in the cooling flame leaves a mark that won't remain. Still the earth keeps saying my name, where the ground learns it back again. Stars come out like a quiet refrain, cold and clear as a struck glass tone. World turns slow without demand, and I'm smaller than I have known. Let the miles fall off my frame, let the dust settle in my veins. Still the earth keeps saying my name, where the ground learns it back again. Ooh.
slide in a shoulder of green. Back road drifts like a quiet ghost through the folds of a narrow ravine. Morning clings to the bark of pine. Sap runs slow in a crooked seam. Footsteps fall in an easy line where the light slips down the stream. Canvas pitched in a clearing wide, stakes pulled firm in the breathing ground. River stones at the turning tide make a low, unhurried sound. Kindling split with a patient hand. Smoke curls up in a silver thread. Horizon opens its borrowed span as the last pale sun is shed. No map drawn in the open sky, no border cut in the amber loam. Just a hush where the hours lie, and a sense of a wider home. Let the tall trees thin my pace. Let the slow wind clear my head. Out here time has a different face. It moves in what is left unsaid. Every mile grows soft with weather. Every sign forgets its name. Moss keeps climbing slow and steady on the markers of where I came. Embers pulse in a showering. Night leans close without demand. Stars hang low on a fragile string over miles of unclaimed land. Let the tall trees thin my pace. Let the slow wind clear my head. Moss keeps climbing slow and steady on the markers of where I came.
Gravel sighs under rolling tires. Morning breaks in a washed out blue. Fence posts lean like retired choirs, humming low where the tall grass grew. The thermos heat in a steady hand. Breath turns pale in the cedar shade. Road unwinds through an open span, like a promise that never was made. A switchback trail in a narrow spine, lichen bright on a split stone face. The sunlight slips through the slanted pine and scatters gold in a borrowed space. Footsteps find their patient rhyme in the hush of the needled floor. The creek runs thin in a silver line past a half-fallen sycamore. No name carved in the canyon wall, no witness kept in the bending grass, just the sound of the daylight fall as the quiet hours pass. Let the ridges unmake my plans, let the tall sky loosen my grip. Out here nothing demands that I tied in or edit the script. Every mile grows softer within, where the noise of the road rescinds. I walk slow in the places where the echo thins and thins. Breathe in a copper ring, owls trade notes in a distant spin. A night lays down its darker wing on the fire-worn edge of skin. Let the ridges unmake land plans, let the tall sky loosen my grip. I walk slow in the places where the echo thins and thins. Evening settles on the ridgepole beam, canvas breathing a cedar sigh. Dust road fade into a silver seam underneath a thinning sky. Kettle hums on a crooked flame, smoke drifts low in a fragile thread. Day folds up without a name in the quiet the west wind spread. Footsteps circle the fire-worn ring, gravel warm from the heat below. Sparks lift off on a patient wing and vanish where the dark fields go. River bends in a muted gleam, stone on stone in a softened chime. Night comes down like a slower dream through the tall, unbordered pine. Falling blue, just the weight of a world laid bare and the hush that carries through. Let the wide land loosen my hold, let it thin what I thought I knew. Out here warmth is a simple gold in the heart of a fading hue. Every mile grows light and spare, every worry turns to smoke. I lay them down in the cooling air where the old dry branches broke. tone, thin as wire in the valley floor. World rolls on all on its own without asking for something more. Let the wide land loosen my hold, let it thin what I thought I knew. I lay them down in the cooling air where the light rests through and through. Let the wide land loosen my hold, let it thin what I thought I knew. I lay them down in the cooling air where the light rests through and through. Headlights fading behind the hill, evening resting on fence and wire. Feels like open wide and still, holding the last of a copper fire. Cool air settling in my lungs, gravel soft under slowing boots. Day unravels in quiet tongues, thread by thread at the cedar roots. Creek runs low through a bed of stone, murmuring things it won't repeat. Pine sap sweet on a splintered cone, smoke and resin and dust and peat. Kettle hums with a tender ache, steam grows pale in the rising dark. Sparks lift off from the coals and break into brief, disappear in arcs. No signal cutting across the sky, no echo asking to be returned. Just a hush where the hours lie, and the slow, small truths are learned. Let the night lean close to the flame, let it soften the edges of thought. Out here nothing is mine to name, nothing here can be bought. Every breath finds a steadier shape in the hush of the timbered ridge. Stars collect in a tin cups, escape shaking light from its dented edge. Far off highway, a thinning sight, like a memory losing sound. World rolls on without asking why, turning slow on its patient ground. Let the night lean close to the flame, let it soften the edges of thought. Stars collect in a tin cups, escape
gate in a pale sunrise, fog in the folds of a grazing field. Back road loosens and unties every promise it never sealed. Panic cones scatter like quiet notes, crushed to sand under steady tread. Wind slips cool through the open coat, carrying words that were never said. River bends in a sheet of tin, catching light in a borrowed gleam. Flats don't skip and then sink again through the ribs of a moving stream. Tent stakes bite in the patient ground, canvas hums with a softened strain. Firewood stacked in a careful mount waits for dusk and a small bright flame. No porch light in the falling blue, no window calling a name inside. Just the hush where the ridges brood, their shadowed steady tide. Let the tall hills level me, let the wide wind clear my hands. Out here nothing is owed to me but the shape of the open lands. Every step leaves a thinner trace, every thought sheds its small demand. I go quiet in this place, under a sky that doesn't answer back. Embers settle in a patient ring, owls trade calls in a distant span. Night lays down its darker wing across the bones of a quiet plain. Let the tall hills level me, let the wide wind clear my hands. I go quiet in this place, under a sky that doesn't answer back. The map was folded in the glove box crease, unbleached at every line. Gravel spoke under wandering wheels in a language slow and dry. Fence posts lean like tired old men, counting clouds that passed them by. And the radio hummed a thinning hymn to the edge of the county line. Pines grew taller as the daylight thinned, cool resin in the breeze. Shadow stitched the narrow trail between the alder trees. Boot soles found the patient ground, soft loam and buried stone. Every step unspooled a quiet thought I didn't know I'd known. And the air turned wide around my chest, like a door left open long. Breath rose pale in the falling dusk and settled into song. Flame found voice in the brittle wood, sparks lifting one by one. Night leaned close with a steady hand, then the small hours came undone. Out where the dark is deep and slow and the sky goes on for miles, silence keeps what the daylight breaks in its unrecorded files. Ash drifted down like tired snow on boots beside the fire. Smoke the hills like a drawn but quiet choir. Nothing asks for anything, no witness, no applause, just the steady pulse of earth and heat, and the stillness without cause. Flame found voice in the brittle wood, sparks lifting one by one. Night leaned close with a steady hand, and the small hours came undone. Out where the dark is deep and slow, and the sky goes on for miles. Silence keeps what the daylight breaks in its unrecorded files. Morning pooled in the empty tin, gold along the rim. Dew held fast to the spider's thread on branches cold and thin. The road away without complaint, patient as the pines, and I'd carry that unspoken hush between the folded lines. Flame found voice in the brittle wood, sparks lifting one by one. Out where the dark is deep and slow, the small hours came undone. Windshield glaze with a film of dawn, radio low in a drifting hum. Fence line stretch where the night has gone, silver threads in a field undone. Gravel shifts under steady wheels, dust slips soft in a pale suspend. Morning opens in quiet peals where the horizon doesn't end. Trailhead sign with its arrows worn, paint half lost to the sun and rain. Footsteps press in the brittle thorn, leaving marks that won't remain. Birch bark curls in a paper skin, light falls thin through a leaning crown. Creek runs cold at the ankle bone, with a steady untroubled sound. Just the wire that keeps breaking through where the horizon doesn't end. Let the tall grass swallow my name, let the wind smooth out my hand. Out here nothing is fixed and framed, it just shifts like the shape of sand. Every mile grows light and clear, every thought grows small and slow. I grow quiet as the dark draws near, and the firelight starts to glow. Embers bloom in a crooked ring, owls call thin from the timbered bend. Night unfolds on a steady wing, where the horizon doesn't end. Let the tall grass swallow my name, let the wind smooth out my hand. I grow quiet in the open frame, where the horizon doesn't Cicadas sowing the heat to the trees. Late July on a dust-bleached lane. Mailbox leaning with quiet ease, as if it forgot each passing name. Windshield glows in a copper flare. Engine ticks in a patient cold. Long fields breathing the open air, while the day lets go of the road. Footpath cut through a stand of oak. Shade lay cool on the back of my neck. Dry leaves answer each careful stroke of a boot on the splintered deck of a bridge that hums slow and wide over water in muted tones. Sunlight bends on the turning tide and settles soft on the scattered stones. No ceiling hung in the rising blue, no border drawn in the amber ground, just a sense of the old and true in the hush of an open sound. Let the valley thin my voice, let the tall grass blur my name. Out here silence makes the choice, and it doesn't play a game. Every mile grows light and spare, every worry turns to flame. I lay them down in the cooling air, and they never rise the same. Embers bloom in a crooked ring. Night comes slow with a steady hand. Stars hang low on a fragile string over miles of unmeasured land. Let the valley